When I look back on 2014, it feels like it was a bit of an awkward year for gaming. The excitement and anticipation of new consoles had us ready for a whole new generation. But the reality was something that was a little bit more transitional. The games with the biggest hype didn't necessarily create the biggest impact. The fact is, as much as we like to start fresh, out with the old and in with the new, practically it's just not possible. And as a result, this was a tricky year to navigate. We felt a little pulled in all directions. We got some games for new consoles, some for old ones, and some that were created for both.
Children are frightened anyway.
What this meant for me as the year bore on and the AAA titles I'd been looking forward to continuously failed to hit the spot is that I turned to other slightly surprising sources of gaming nourishment. Titles that I didn't think I would end up gushing about in my end-of-year review, and yet here we are. To start with, both the BioShock and Last of Us DLC installments proved to be wonderfully crafted expansions of the stories within those much-loved worlds. They introduced new characters and locations, but in a way that perfectly complemented the narratives we loved.
The business of Rapture is business. Says it's sponsored by the Artist Struggle, the Golden Rule, and Rapture Records.
And didn't feel frivolous or tacked on. Telltale's masterful storytelling delved even deeper into the murky waters of our moral code with the second season of The Walking Dead. We faced tougher decisions and even more nail-biting moments this year, all from the perspective of one of my favourite gaming protagonists out there, young Clementine.
We sure have come a long way since we first met, huh? You're a good kid, Clementine.
What I love most about this franchise, though, is how so much of your skill is based around the gentle manipulation of the other survivors in your group. It's such a unique and exciting action to participate in as a gamer.
Jane, don't do it!
Child of Light gets my vote for most beautiful art and design of the year. I adored the dreamlike watercolor washes of paint, her beautiful floating animations and drifting locks of hair. But its greatest achievement was the way this game wove such a charming narrative and aesthetic into what were actually quite deep and complex RPG mechanics. That active battle bar twist on turn-based combat, superb. The months wore on, and still the games that opened my eyes and truly broadened my mind were either small, independent, or obscure. Like Lifeless Planet, an incredible melancholy mystery of planetary exploration with an intriguing narrative at its core. Also, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter. Another mystery, puzzles to solve, but perhaps more memorably, one of the most graphically impressive games we've ever seen. I came, I wandered, and I slow-panned all over the place. This was a confusing, captivating dreamscape to wander through, and I was hooked. A new experience for me was our participation in the ABC's contribution to Mental Health Week this year. This involvement saw us seeking out games that dealt with themes of mental illness. I think being a part of that episode is one of the most meaningful experiences I've ever had on the show, and playing actual Sunlight was unlike any other game I've played before. It was tough, it was emotionally challenging, but it also highlighted how affecting the video game medium can truly be when it shines a light on certain challenging themes and ideas. A few big-budget games did manage to wiggle their way onto my list. Assassin's Creed Unity, while yes, riddled with launch issues, appalling frame rates and loading, still managed to stunningly recreate revolutionary Paris in a way that was so vibrant, so dynamic, while finessing that core gameplay in such a way that had me saying, I can't stay mad at you, and I remain a devoted fan. I must also give special mention to Bayonetta 2, a game which has, for the second time in my many years on Good Game, forced me to point out the facepalm-worthy character objectification of the game's protagonist through its ever-invasive crotch shots, in montage form.
Now it's time to be moving.
But it was Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor that was my greatest AAA joy this year. Finally, a game that introduced something innovative and unique with the Nemesis system. Taking on all those fearsome, frustrating foes with masterfully designed combat, calculating and methodical, it was a meaty, delicious morsel of Middle-earthery to digest. And delivered at a time when I'm pretty sure we were all starved for something like this.
You! Wounds inside it does. I'm gonna skin ya! Flay ya! Do you want to be dead when it happens?
As always, though, I will finish on my personal game of the year. And this choice, in my opinion, speaks volumes of the year that was and where the true gaming gold was to be found. Valiant Hearts: The Great War was a thoughtful, impeccably designed puzzle journey that had us leading a series of characters across the battlefields of the Great War.
The death toll was staggering.
Each story inspired by actual wartime letters, which in turn shaped the narrative in a way that felt truly meaningful. Valiant Hearts had everything. Humor and joy, tragedy and suffering, challenging puzzles and wonderful animations packed full of personality. But best of all, the game actually managed to create an educational experience in the process. I learned so much about the Great War. This game was beautiful and perfect in every way, and a masterpiece of game design. And I think that's the biggest lesson I learned in 2014. New consoles and fancy hardware is cool and all, but it doesn't necessarily create a recipe for the most affecting gaming experience. In fact, it just goes to show that with the right ingredients, even a downloadable 2D puzzle adventure can leave the most memorable impact.